Okay, guys, today I'm going to go over a mini lesson on characterization. It is important that you understand what characterization is because for some of the assignments that you're going to have to complete for me, you're going to have to actually be able to distinguish between the different types of characters. We all know what a character is, correct? We should know. A character is, it could be a person, it could be an animal, it could be anybody that's, that is in a story. That is what a character is. So we're going to go through this PowerPoint, and I'm going to actually use a movie, The Lion King, that you should all be familiar with to help you understand characterization and the different types of characters. All right, our first type of character that we're going to talk about is a dynamic character. Dynamic character is just a main character that is faced with conflict and undergoes an important interchange throughout the course of a story. So let's think about the movie The Lion King. So we all know The Lion King, there are a plethora of different characters that are introduced, but our main character that is faced with conflict and that undergoes just this insurmountable change is Simba. Simba is your dynamic character. He goes through this life change. He goes through this change when Scar kills his dad, and he now has to, he runs away for a while, but then he has to come back to make sure that the kingdom is safe. So he goes through this change throughout the whole movie, which impacts the movie in a great way. That's what makes him the dynamic character in that movie. All right, next we're going to talk about your stock tick characters. And just the definition, so you want to say stock tick, or you can say static characters. They are minor characters in a work of fiction who do not undergo substantial change or growth in the course of a story. And they usually shadow the main character. So again, we're still using the Lion King as an example, but let's think about after Simba runs away and he runs into the two characters, Timon and Pumbaa. Timon and Pumbaa are already well-established characters once we're introduced to them. But even though they're established characters, they don't change anymore throughout the course of the story. And they shadow or they follow Simba throughout the rest of the story. That's what makes them those stock tick or static characters. They are minor, but again, they are with that dynamic character throughout the story, and they do not change in any way. So that is a stock tick character. Next, we're going to talk about a round character. A round character in literature is one who has been fully developed. So you think three-dimensional versus two-dimensional with, intertwining that math component. They take on realistic identities and encompass complex characteristics. So if we're talking about a round character, again, all of my examples are going to come from The Lion King, so we're going to think about Nala. Nala started out as Simba's friend. They were lifelong. They've been lifelong friends. They were friends at birth, and in the end, they still were friends, but she became his wife. So again, you have that round character who's been fully developed, and they just complete that dynamic character. They were with them in the beginning, and they're going to be with them in the end. That's what makes Nyla the round character in The Lion King. Next, we're going to talk about flat characters. A flat character is a minor character in a work of fiction who does not undergo substantial change or growth in the course of the story. We talked about two-dimensional and three-dimensional when we referred to our round characters. So we're also thinking about your flat character being two-dimensional. So again, there'd be two-dimensional. So as referred to two-dimensional characters or static characters, flat characters play a supporting role in the main character, who as a rule should be round. So think about Mufasa. Mufasa was Simba's dad. Mufasa died kind of like in the middle of the movie. He was killed by his brother Scar, and he was already a well-developed character when the movie started. He was that way when the movie started, and he was that way when he died in the movie. So he was that way until he died, and he was always the same. He was that nice, caring leader. He was the leader of that pride. So that's what made him a flat character, because there were not any additional levels to him as a character. So he was just one way throughout the movie up until his death. So that's what makes him a flat character. All right, so the next two things that we're going to talk about are things that we've discussed throughout the school year. They are your protagonist and antagonist. We should all know what a protagonist is. Protagonist is the main character in a story, novel, drama, or other literary work that the character that the reader or audience empathizes with. And the antagonist, who is your bad guy, the person who is against your protagonist, they oppose that person. So the antagonist opposes the protagonist. So if you think about, again, the Lion King, Simba would be your protagonist in the Lion King because we empathize with him, we have sympathy for him. That's what makes him your protagonist, and he's essentially the good guy in the story, versus your antagonist, which is the principal character in opposition to the protagonist or hero of a narrative genre or drama. So, of course, we all know that in The Lion King, who would be your antagonist? Scar. Right. Scar is your antagonist because why? He is the bad guy in the story. He is against Simba. He was against Mufasa, which was Simba's father. And he was trying to take over the pride for himself. He wanted to be the king of the jungle, and it just didn't work. So again, he was the antagonist. He was in opposition to Simba, who was your protagonist. He killed Mufasa as a result of his selfishness. So that is your antagonist. Next, we're going to talk about a foil character. So your foil character is a character who contrasts with another character, usually the protagonist, and in so doing, highlights various facets of the main character's personality. So in the Lion King, you have Mufasa and you have Scar, who would be examples of your foil characters. And the reason why, even though they are like good, bad, good, evil, they are your foil characters because even though Scar is the complete opposite of Simba, and he was also the complete opposite of Mufasa, you can still see characteristics from him, even though they may be very vague or very slight. You can still see those characteristics within Simba. And also, again, when it comes to Mufasa, Simba's dad, you can see some facets and some of the personality traits within Simba himself. So that's what makes them foil characters. And the last couple of things that we're going to talk about are direct characterization and indirect characterization. Direct characterization tells you, the audience, what the personality of the character is like. So again, what the personality of the character is like. And an example said the patient boy and quiet girl were both well-mannered and did not disobey their mother. So an explanation of how this is direct characterization is the author is directly telling the audience the personality of the two children. The boy is patient and the girl is quiet. So again, if we wanted to use that and incorporate the movie that we've been talking about, The Lion King, we could say that some direct characterization of Simba is that he has long red hair, he has brown eyes, he runs fast. These are direct things that you can physically see. The personality of these characters. So again, they're personality traits. Versus your indirect characterization shows things that reveal the personality of a character. And there are 5 different methods of indirect characterization, and you can use the acronym STEAL. And we're not actually talking about you going to take something that's not yours. We're just talking about using an acronym in order for you to understand the different methods of indirect characterization. So you have speech, thoughts, effect, actions, and look. So for speech, what does the character say? How does the character speak? Thoughts, what is revealed through the character's private thoughts and feelings? Effect on other towards the character. What is revealed through the character's effect on other people, and how do they feel or behave in reaction to the character? Your actions, what does the character do? How does the character behave? And lastly, looks. What does the character look like? How does the character dress? Again, indirect versus direct characterization. All of these different components of characterization are important. You're going to have to know all of them, be able to distinguish them, and pinpoint them out of any text, any movie that you are given. So again, I suggest that you take notes, stop, rewind, fast forward as often as possible until you understand all the different components of characterization as it relates to literature.